Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the Wright Flyer. This is your captain, Randy Wright speaking, and as always, I'm joined on our state-of-the-art radio program by my first officer, Jeremy Grapenton. Folks, we're also joined by our very special guest this evening, our First Air Marshal, Mr. Nelson Ward, who is here to discuss a little bit of the unsavory characteristics of the New York billionaire, businessman, real estate tycoon, and all-around vulgarian Donald J. Trump, who also happens to go by the two alter egos of John Barron and John Miller. Now, the information that Nelson has here relates to some of his rather seedy and dubious connections with nefarious individuals, and it even leads right up to George Soros. So, to go ahead and delve into this more deeply, I am going to turn the floor over to our First Air Marshal to share this information with us. Go ahead, Nelson.
Thank you, Captain Randy. You know, I've done a little investigation on Donald Trump's Russian connection. A character named Alexander Dugan. Alexander Dugan is a professor in Russia at a prestigious college. He's written several books, all published by Art Coast Publishing, which happens to be owned by George Soros in London. It's a London publishing company. It used to be a subsidiary to Public Affairs Press, which was owned by George Soros. And they published mostly the 9/11 conspiracy stuff, like Terry Masson, so on and so forth. Now, Dugan, who said, and I quote, the Nazis didn't go far enough in close quote. And what he meant is they didn't go far enough in their extermination of the Jews, go far enough in pushing National Socialism. This guy's a National Socialist, and he's a close advisor to Putin. He's a close advisor to the proletariat there in Russia, and he's a total an unequivocal Trump supporter. He also, both Dugan and the Russian Prime Minister have financed Trump-Russia connected troll farms. These troll farms, they in Russia put propaganda on social media. They've gone so far as to put propaganda on the Blaze, attacking Ted Cruz, attacking Glenn Beck, so on and so forth. In fact, guys, guess where the Trump claim and the National Enquirer's claim that Ted Cruz's father was a part of the Kennedy assassination. Guess where that came from? That came from Alexander Dugan. Yep. That came from Alexander Dugan, right out of his mouth. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the connections with, it's bad enough that Hillary Clinton is tied to the same Russians. They're both tied to the same people. It's amazing that the ignorance of the American people, that every time we try to scream wolf, they think, you know, they're running around like chickens going, the sky is falling, Hillary Clinton, the sky is falling. And we're going, dude, the sky may fall, but the wolf will eat you before the sky hits you. Okay, they're both wolves.
So, in other words, this is pretty much like what Randy and I have mentioned before, even with having you on various episodes. This is Pravda type stuff. This is basically the equivalency of what this guy, Alexander Dugan, is involved in, would be the equivalency of Heinrich Himmler and Hans Göring and Joseph Goebbels.
You mean Hermann Göring?
Hermann Göring, yes.
Guys, it's even further than that. And let me tell you, Trump's three main advisors, the president of the CFR, Paul Manafort, who is a personal lobbyist for the Russian government, for the Russian government and the Muslim Brotherhood. And then we have a Soros goon, one of the top executives at Soros Fund Management, as a third advisor. How on earth can any Republican support anyone who supports that? Any conservative? And I'm telling you right now, how can anyone? And I'm a military veteran. I served in the 82nd Airborne. I served in the 7th Special Forces. And I'm here to tell you, any veteran or any service member in the United States that supports Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton or Gary the dope dealer Johnstone is abandoning their oath. They're absolutely and unequivocally abandoning their oath to the military and to the Constitution.
Yes. Hey, Nelson, I actually have an interesting soundbite here that ties into what you're talking about. It turns out that Trump went on to ABC News and claimed that Putin is not invading the Ukraine, that he's not trying to seize the Crimea, that he's not doing any of that. This is going to be about a minute and 26-second soundbite. I'm going to play it, and then we'll discuss it and show how it ties in exactly with the type of thing that you were pointing to there as part of the propaganda from these groups. So here we go. I'm going to cue it up right now.
You soften the GOP platform on Ukraine.
I wasn't involved in that. Honestly, I was not involved. Yeah, I was not involved in that. I'd like to, I'd have to take a look at it, but I was not involved.
Do you know what they did?
They softened it, I heard, but I was not involved.
They took away the part of the platform calling for provision of lethal weapons to Ukraine to defend themselves. Why is that a good idea?
Look, you know, I have my own ideas. He's not going into Ukraine, okay? Just so you understand. He's not going to go into Ukraine. All right, you can mark it down, you can put it down, you can take it anywhere
he's already there, isn't he?
Okay. Well, he's there in a certain way, but I'm not there. You have Obama there. And frankly, that whole part of the world is a mess under Obama, with all the strength that you're talking about and all of the power of NATO and all of this. In the meantime, he's going away. He takes Crimea. He's sort of, I mean...
But you said you might recognize that.
I'm going to take a look at it. You know, the people of Crimea, from what I've heard, would rather be with Russia than where they were. And you have to look at that also. Now, that was under, just so you understand, that was done under Obama's administration. And as far as the Ukraine is concerned, it's a mess. And that's under the Obama's administration with his strong ties to NATO. So with all of these strong ties to NATO, Ukraine is a mess. Crimea has been taken. Don't blame Donald Trump for that.
You've said
and we'll do better, and yet we'll have a better relationship with Russia.
Can you believe that? First of all, it's NATO's fault, then it's Obama's fault, it's everybody's fault, but not Putin. Not Putin. Why? Because again, as Nelson was pointing out there, he's surrounded himself with these sycophants for Putin. He's surrounded himself with sycophants for the Russian Federation. But that's not speaking into the best interests of the United States. And clearly, if you're going to try and blame Obama for that, that's the same as what Obama did with George W. Bush. Every problem going into it, well, that's George W. Bush. George W. Bush's fault. Let me be queer. You know, this is the sort of thing we have to be cognizant of. And Nelson, what you're pointing to there with all of those seedy connections, all of those things that lead back to Russia, that is dangerous. When you see the way that Trump is softening the language on it and then denying it, this is straight out of a propaganda playbook.
Well, here we have Kyle who's complicit. No, complicit, he's dealing with Putin. He was dealing with the devil to get elected. He's dealing with the devil who's dealing with both sides. So we'll have power. Putin doesn't care about anything but power. And mind you, Dugan, who's a National Socialist, who's an absolute and unequivocal admitted National Socialist who reveres the Nazis, is supporting both of them. And we have Paul Manafort, who is his number 2 advisor, is his spokesman. Manafort was a paid lobbyist for Russia, who claimed that there was no invasion of Crimea, claimed there was no invasion of Ukraine, except that Russia military forces and Ukrainian military forces were exchanging artillery rounds. That's warfare, guys. That's not tiddlywink.
Right.
And for Trump to sit there and lie, because he absolutely bold-faced lie, yeah. Here's the difference. Obama's a coward. Obama does not want anything to do with war. He loathes war. He loathes protecting the country because he loathes the country. He loathes the American people. But Trump is the pathological liar who is filling his pocket from the Russian coffers. That's what's happening, guys. And I can prove it.
See, now here we have this issue with NATO. He's wanting to blame NATO for all of this. Now there's been some hoopla all about NATO. Trump's making the statement that, you know, he'll end our ties with NATO and so on and so forth. You know, I don't think in the grand scheme of things that would be a good idea just yet. Our country is not set up right now. In fact, we are so diminished that if we alienate ourselves from NATO and our NATO allies, they're all going to turn on us. The United States will be sitting ducks. And it wouldn't come to a point to where Russia would be able to come in. Hell, at that point, if Australia, Great Britain, Canada, all of our other allies, they decide, you know what? The United States is officially at its weakest capacity. They're no longer a dog in the fight. They've become expendable. We need to get rid of them.
Right.
And the rest of the world to just carve us up. Trump doesn't understand this. He doesn't understand the ramifications of the crap that he spews out of his Trump dumpster. He just doesn't.
Well, let me make this perfectly clear. Trump-Bama. Trump-Bama has no understanding that we have basically 4 allies in the whole world now. Canada is not our ally. Mexico is not our ally. Great Britain is not our ally. No other countries in Europe are our allies, but the Czech Republic and Poland, and somewhat a couple of the Baltic states, maybe, and then Israel, maybe Australia, and the rest of them, they couldn't give 2 winks about what happens in the States. And that's nobody in Washington understands that, because they've done everything in their power, and that's both parties, to try to undermine the alliances. Now, Jefferson said we shouldn't have entangling alliances. What does that actually mean? We've signed a treaty. A treaty is a treaty. Under our Constitution, it cannot be broken.
Right.
If we break a constitutionally valid treaty, we are violating the Constitution. We have treaties with Israel. We have treaties with the Czech Republic. We have a treaty with Poland. We have a treaty with Australia. We have treaties with all these countries in NATO. And personally, guys, as for Turkey, how many people are understand that Turkey is in NATO, but they cannot be allowed into the European Union? Why is that? Is anybody aware of why they can't be allowed into the European Union?
I have a feeling you're going to tell us.
Yeah, it happened to be that they massacred about 1.6 million people during World War I.
The Armenian Christians.
The Armenian genocide. And they will not apologize it. And that is the sole reason that the European will not allow Turkey into the European Union.
Now, Randy's come across some information earlier that I wasn't aware of, but apparently we have a weapons depot in Turkey that is now surrounded. We have a base in Turkey and now is surrounded by the Turks. If we were to leave NATO, what would stop them from basically just taking over that base and saying, the United States is no longer in NATO, they're considered to be an enemy of ours? Guess what? The base no longer belongs to us, and we have no more American soldiers there.
Well, we're the star. Okay, let's take NATO as your baseball team. Yeah, your 9-player. We are the star clean-up hitter for NATO. Without NATO, without us in NATO, there is no NATO. We carry all the weight in NATO. Mm-hmm. We carry all the military strength. Do you think any of these other countries combined without us would beat Russia right now? No. They would stand a chance. Russia would roll over them, even as downtrodden as their military actually is. And people play up how well their military is. Their military isn't doodly squat. They have basically the same armament as we beat the crap out of with Saddam Hussein. Maybe a little bit better. Ours is a lot better, except that Obama has defunded and depeopled the military. We're half the military we had before George Bush was elected.
Right.
Half the military.
And not only that, the ones that are left in the military, their hands are tied.
Right.
So they can't do anything.
That's illegal. You know that's illegal in the UCMJ to tie people's hands like that?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Not allowed them to fire back. That's illegal in the Uniform Code of Military Justice. Article 83 is pretty damn severe on that. Now, President Obama, here's the thing. We saw how many times, guys, that the military could go in and kick Obama out of office. How many times we saw that on Facebook and chat rooms, all in social media. The fact that these things are posted by total ignorant fools who know nothing. And that's the majority of the American people. The vast, vast majority of the American people. And this is not attacking the American people, this is telling the truth. They are ignorant idiots. This is why you have a total, complete criminal sociopath running against a New York sociopath and pathological liar and a dope dealer. Those are your three main candidates in the United States. This country has become a cartoon.
And it's all because of this unholy alliance that we've seen with the frothing at the mouth Fabian socialists and the graduates of Pavlov's School of Journalism for the salivating mainstream media, as well as the historical revisionists that have taken over our institutions of education from coast to coast and border to border. And this problem's been going on very meticulously ever since Thomas Dewey had that educational system, that idea of putting a collectivist mentality within our institutions of education from primary education all the way through postgraduate studies. And I think it's really had an effect. I think that's why we're seeing our political discourse being dumbed down to hollow, shallow, empty, and meaningless platitudes that are just being plastered all over the so-called mainstream media. But then we also have it to where this so-called conservative punditry and commensurate have had many of them sell their souls. People like Rush Limbaugh. People like Sean Hannity and Michael Weiner Savage, who's been gone the longest of them, and Laura Ingbrown. They were all just giving everything away for Trump. They sold all of their convictions, all of their principles for Trump. In fact, what Lush Bimbo did the other day was just atrocious, where he went out and actually applauded Donald J. Trump for attacking Ted Cruz and his father all over again in the national news media. And get this, Nelson, this will make you laugh and angry at the same time. Trump actually said that Cruz is not that smart. A man who does not have any education in the law, any knowledge of the Constitution. In fact, he said he thought there was an Article 12 in the Constitution, says that Ted Cruz is not that intelligent. A man who says bigly is a word was saying that Cruz is not intelligent. It is beyond belief.
You know what? I'm not going to blame it on the media. I'm not going to blame it on the electorate. I'm going to blame it on the American people. That's what I'm blaming. You know what? People have gotten such spineless. They've gone spineless. They want to hold their hand out. They don't have any integrity. They don't have any guts. They don't have any spirit, and they don't believe in anything anymore. They're more important. They're more interested in sitting in front of a stupid, idiotic bot playing a video game, going home, and I see this every day, getting their 32-pack of beer and getting blasted out of their minds so they can get up and go do it again tomorrow. They're worried about putting gas in their car. They're worried about going on vacation so they can go get blotto in front of their friends. They don't care two whits about their children. They turn their children out to the skate park. So as long as they're out of the house, they don't care where they are. The American people have become a bunch of baboons, and that's the vast, vast majority. Well, let me tell you something, guys. If you look at all the I'm not as mad that Ted Cruz didn't get the nomination. I'm mad that the American people have lost their freaking minds. That they, if you look at, there's about 11% of the American electorate that voted for somebody who actually supports the Constitution. That means that 89% of the American people voted for somebody who doesn't.
And see, I've been trying to make this point clear to several individuals that, yes, I have the hatred of 1,000 burning suns for Trump. Absolutely. I hate anybody who sees no value in our Constitution. As far as I'm concerned, I don't have any use for them. But this point right here now where we are, this is not about Cruz not getting the nomination. This is about the preservation of our republic and our Constitution. All these people that support Trump, well, I want my rights and this and that, and Trump, Obama's taking our rights. What rights has Obama taken away from people?
He's taken a few. I'm telling you.
He's taken a few, but the ones that they don't even realize, the ones that they think are extra constitutional rights, aren't even rights to begin with.
Right.
And these individuals are sitting there, well, Obama, is doing this, and, Trump will make it to where, we can have this. No, Trump can't do anything. This is what people don't understand. Again, it goes right to the mantra and the mentality of them thinking that they're putting all of their hopes and aspirations on one person to save them. These idiots, these moronic, heathenistic troglodytes, don't even understand it is not up to anybody else but themselves to save themselves. That's it. And they don't want it.
It's part of the instant gratification society, though.
Sure.
That's where we are. We have fallen to such a point, as Nelson was alluding to, that we're just looking for instant gratification. It doesn't matter how we get there, just as long as it's there. Just as long as we can be fat, dumb, happy, and complacent. It doesn't matter who runs the country. And it doesn't matter what rights we have. Mm-hmm.
People are more interested in masturbation than a relationship. That's what it's become, guys. And what you don't seem to understand, okay? I'm kind of glad that Ted Cruz did not win the nomination, and I'll tell you why. Why would I vote for anyone running to run an illegitimate government? Why would I support anyone running this illegitimate government? We thought there might be some chance that Ted Cruz might be able to turn it around. It wasn't possible, guys. This country is over. It's done. Stick a fork in it. We can't do anything to help it. It's going down the tubes, and we're not going to save it. It's about time people understand that. You saw my rant on Facebook. I'm done with social media. I'm done with trying to freaking convince total baboons and slobbering idiots of the truth. I busted my butt to go to college, to get a degree, to go in the military, almost die in the military, never took a dime from the military, even after they busted up 63 of my bones and I'm blind in one eye. Never taken a dime from them. Went back to college, got a master's degree, and I'd be damned if they didn't take that freaking degree away from everybody in this country. Well, how many people are aware that you cannot take a constitutional studies class in this country anymore? It doesn't exist. Now, when Thomas Jefferson invented the degree at the University of Virginia after he left the presidency, he made it in his own mind to be a foil against lawyers because he knew that the law practitioner would twist the Constitution to their own favor. But he created a constitutional studies degree so you would understand the Constitution exactly how it was written and not how it was twisted. It was the foil against that. When I went to college in 1979 at 17 years old, I noticed that there were over 100 colleges that had a constitutional studies degree. You know how many there are now? Zero. There are not one single college can you even get a bachelor's. I have a master's. And I kind of blew my own horn, because the fact is there's less than 100 people left in this country to have that degree. I busted my butt to get that degree, thinking that I could actually make a difference. I wasted my time, guys. I wasted my time in the military. I wasted my time in college. I wasted my time trying to keep the Constitution for over 25 years. I'm done. The American people can go kill themselves as far as I'm concerned, because I'm done with them.
Yeah. We have to be able to get the knowledge out there, and that's been the problem. We've been prohibited. We've been attacked by corrupt groups, and as you said, there are people who just don't care, and it's too many. And
most of them.
Yeah, and it's a crying shame to see that our nation has fallen to that point. It really is.
As an attorney, Randy, how many times have you seen people saying, "Oh, you're violating my constitutional rights, blah blah blah"? You violate. Most of them don't even know what they are.
Yeah.
Nor could they even find them.
Right.
I mean,
most of the time they just say, "I didn't do nothings."
Well, Randy, we have Gary, the dope dealer, Johnstone, the fake libertarian who supports open borders, anti-religious freedom. He legalized dope, pro-abortion. They actually had Austin Peters, who, guess what, guys? He's alumni. He's a joint alumni. We both went to Missouri State. It was Southwest Missouri State when I went there. Rose Weiler Lane. Do you know who she is? Rose Weiler Lane is the mother of modern libertarianism. Rose Weiler Lane. People think it's Ayn Rand. No, Rose Weiler Lane was the mentor of Ayn Rand. Rose Weiler Lane is the daughter of Laura Ingalls Wilder. Little House on the Prairie. At the time? Yeah. I mean, the conservatives are done. The Republican Party are done. Those who became the conservatives are done. The Democrat Party has been done for 40 years. The Libertarian Party, which had some promise until the left wing took it over, because basically they're a bunch of left wing lunatics. They're done. Constitution Party, where'd they go? I was a Constitution Party member for years until they got Bob Barr. Bob Barr was a freaking member of the ACLU.
Yeah.
I mean, you know who he's consorting with now? The
Trump.
Southern
Poverty Law Center.
Yeah, the Southern Poverty Law Center, guys. I mean, this is what Roger Nash Baldwin wanted the ACLU to be. That's exactly. I mean, this is the biggest hate group in the country. You think the KKK is bad? Nah, they're nothing compared to the freaking Southern Poverty SPLC. Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Black Panthers are nothing compared, because they'll sit there and anybody that is not a total living left-winger is a hater. They're a hate group. That's the whole thing. That's exactly, just right out of a Nazi party platform. And how many people know that? How many times do they listen to us? But when we've been screaming to the top of our lungs, whether it's been on the radio, whether it's been on a chat room, whether it's been on social media, Facebook, blah, 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 blah. But you have idiots that think they know anything. And I'm here to tell you, if people listen to this thing, you don't know anything. Start from scratch. You don't know anything. It's not that we're so smart. It's you're so damn dumb.
And at the same time, this is why we bring up 6-2 or fight, because it has to be our Constitution. That's it. And Nelson, you and I have had a conversation yesterday on the phone, and you know, I reiterated to you that I can't give up. I can't stop doing what I'm doing. I won't stop doing what I'm doing. Because for every 10 people that refuses to heed my words of advice or listen to what I convey to them regarding the Constitution, when they fail to do that, there's always one. And a lot of people would say, well, one's not enough. And you're right, but one can turn into 10, 10 can turn into 100. We just have to be vigilant about it. And I understand where you're coming from. I understand your frustrations. Believe me, I'm right there with you, brother.
Yeah, and I've been over 20 years. Been doing it 20 years longer than you guys. You know, I'm 20, 25 years older than you guys are. I've been doing it a long time. I've been doing this over 30 years. And I tell you what, it's got to the point that I'm beating my head against the wall. And I'm ruining my life. I'm ruining my relationship. I don't have any friends anymore except for you guys and a few others So the fact is, most people that are supporting Donald Trump have turned their back on me. You know what? If you don't care about me as a person and what I've taught you for the last 40 years, go to hell. You know? But I'm here to tell you right now, the federal government is illegitimate. They won't do anything to me. I guarantee you. I dare them try. You know? And the thing is, that you were absolutely right, guys. These idiots want everybody to save them. There's nobody going to save them and put them. That's the only people that are going to save you is yourself. Period.
And that's the way this country was designed to be. I mean, if you look at the way that the Founding Fathers actually envisioned the United States operating as a constitutionally endowed federalist republic, they didn't want there to be a concentration of power in one singular entity, group, or organization. And if you think about it, someone who claims that they have the power to save this country, on the flip side of that coin, also has the power to ultimately destroy the country. That's why the Founding Fathers wanted the people to be the true ultimate wielders of popular sovereignty in this once thriving and flourishing representative republic of ours. And that's why we here at Radio Aviation Excellence, the Wright Flyer, keep preaching the message of the Constitution. Yes, it does feel like we're hitting our heads against a brick wall. It is exceedingly frustrating. But the fact that we are giving that 11% a voice, it does give us the opportunity to overcome these hurdles, obstacles, and adversities that are placed in our path, and to still have that fire in our belly. But it is exceedingly difficult. It really is.
I mean, I've still got the fire. I'm telling you right now.
Oh,
the point about it is that I'm fed up with people. I mean, why am I busting my butt? Save people that don't care. I cannot drag them by the lip to the water trough, you know, and hit them over the head with a 2x4. Like a mule. You know, they are so afraid of Hillary Clinton. I'm telling you right now, Hillary Clinton is nothing. She's nothing compared to someone like Abraham Lincoln. If you people will get out and learn some history instead of listen to some idiot pundit tell you what's going on, learn it yourself. Learn the history of Missouri, where I grew up, and you'll find out what kind of disgusting bastard that Adolf Abraham Lincoln, same guy, was. Because, I mean, he ran roughshod over the whole state. I mean, I've laid out the history of this before, and I'm not going to give it to them. The people have been lied to. And anytime you tell them the truth, and there's going to be any of them now, and you show them the truth, they go right into resonant dissonance. I mean, they go stark raving blind.
Well, they revert back to, yeah, but Trump.
Yeah, but Trump. Well, it's on anything though anymore. It's the history, whether it's the truth on what happened. How many people are aware that our own government poisoned alcohol during the Prohibition just to kill off people so people would support Prohibition? Our own government did that. How many people are aware of that? You who stopped that?
It was the Bureau of Prohibition. What became the ATF.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was the Bureau of Alcohol. Yeah. It became the ATF. You know, the same ATF that's still funneling guns across the border.
Which is still unconstitutional and to be in existence anyways.
Absolutely. And the fact of the matter is, who stopped that, guys? That would be Calvin Coolidge.
Yep.
He stopped it butt cold. In fact, he said, I'm going to shut you down. I'm going to shut you all down. Congress overrode his veto. He vetoed them having a single dime.
Yeah.
But then again, you know, Congress overrode it. It's the only one that they were able to override. Because Calvin Coolidge vetoed more bills than every other president combined.
Well, it's because he was a true constitutionalist. He was the archetype of constitutionalist. And if you look at some of his early speeches, they were just full of praise for the Constitution, full of praise for limited government. And the fact that the Republican Party has gone away from that. We had Ivanka Stonka Trumpa Dumpa up there on the RNC floor in Cleveland, Ohio, basically giving credence and credibility to this laughable claim of a gender gap in fair payment, pushing all of these frothing at the mouth Fabian socialist ideals, trying to embrace them as their own. This is what they are claiming is the new Republican Party, and I understand that's why you're saying that it's done, because it is trying to effectively oust anyone who is a constitutional compositionist, meaning one who follows the original composition of the Constitution, out of the party.
I'll tell you what looks like to me. It looks like to me, Randy, like a multi-marketing pyramid scheme. That's what the Republican Party has become.
Oh, yeah.
I've got the guy at the top, and I'm going to have a few people here below me, and they're going to sell memberships to the ones down below that. And then they're going to sell. They're not actually selling the goods anymore, which is illegal anyway. That's why all these multi-marketing pyramid schemes are illegal, because they don't actually sell. Their whole point is not selling a good. Their whole point is selling memberships. That's illegal. The Supreme Court ruled that is illegal under. That would be what was the one that sold the King goods and everything. It was MLM. Can't think of Amway
Yeah.
decision, saying that if you even you sell a membership, cannot sell a membership to a club or whatever like that. You can't and have them sell memberships to it. It's illegal. It's fraud. You know, they're paid for bringing in members, and I mean,
well, you had individuals like Bernie.
That's exactly what it is now, though. That's what the GOP has become.
Yeah, the gutless opposition party.
It's almost like it's a giant soiree for Alex Jones and Coast to Coast in InfoWars. That's what it is. That's what it's become. They already adopted all these conspiracy theory crap, and Trump instituted that with, attacking Ted Cruz and bringing up his dad, saying his dad was tied to the assassination of JFK and all this other nonsensical crap. So they're already adopting all the caricatures of it, and it's just a matter of time before they fit them all together like a little jigsaw puzzle, and then the Republican Party goes the way of the Whigs, because that's what's going to happen.
Alex Jones, it's Alex Jones time. It's like I don't know, Randy Savage's species speaking. The point of Alex Jones, if he actually cared about what was going on in this country instead of trying to put money in his pocket over 9/11 conspiracy baloney, he would be all over this Alexander Dugan stuff right now, because that's a proven fact.
Yeah.
It's a proven fact because he admitted it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a proven fact that Putin has admitted it. It's a proven fact that every European newspaper and reporter has known for a year that the Russian government was financing trolls to go on the internet to support Donald Trump. And then, on the other hand, financing trolls to go on the internet to support Hillary Clinton on that side. Because they didn't want Bernie versus Cruz, because that's too different. That's both ends of the political spectrum. Constitutionalist and a socialist. They didn't want that facing off because they know who was going to lose that one.
Well, it's no different than what George Soros did back in 2008 and 2012 with the candidates, paying candidates like Ron Paul $250,000 or $25,000 when he had his own convention and this, things going on. I mean, it's no different. And why didn't people pay attention to George Soros? Nelson, how much information did you and I dig up on George Soros?
Reams. And nobody cared about it.
And nobody batted an eye at it. All the information was right there. And even when Soros came out in that interview on 60 Minutes and said that the best time of his life was when he was a youth, narking and ousting Jewish people to be rounded up so that he could take their treasures and so that he could be appeased and admonished and held up by the Nazis.
Well, his parents was the Aerocross Party in Hungary. Nobody knows who that is. They're Stanislavski.
That was his godfather.
He was a godfather. He was head of the Aerocross Party. He was the president of Hungary. Remember the Nazi Party? His parents.
Hitler.
Now, the thing about it is they claim George Soros is a Jew. He's no more Jew than I am. He had Jewish on paper. That didn't mean anything. You can go back and you can see that I'm Scottish on paper. Doesn't mean I ever lived in Scotland or claim to be Scot. Never set foot in place. But the fact is that Soros' parents, in fact his grandparents, denounced Judaism. Because they were atheists. They hated Jews.
Mm-hmm.
Jews hated them. They were all too happy to point their fingers at Jews to have them taken to Auschwitz.
Yep.
It didn't bother them a bit. The reason that Soros went to live, he was basically fostered out to the head of the Nazi Party by his father. It's because that's what they did in Europe at the time.
And again, people ignored it. They ignored it. They put it right out, and I've said this before.
Mm-hmm.
All the Fabians, the socialists, and the Trumpists, the whole lot of them, they are telling people what they want to hear, while at the same time telling them exactly what they're going to do.
Well, it's a political Ponzi scheme.
Sure,
it's what it comes down to. It's a political Ponzi scheme, as Nelson was mentioning there.
They're hiding everything right out in plain view for everybody with a brain to see it.
The problem is so few then have a brain to see it or care to see it.
Right. Because it doesn't, if they acknowledge it as being the truth and they change their position, then that means that their lifestyle or their boat is going to start to rock. Well, guess what? I'm aiming to misbehave, Nelson.
No.
I'm aiming to misbehave. And all these people that don't want their boats rocked, guess what? I hope they better hope to God they can swim, because I'm about to capsize every faruking one of them.
Randy, now, I mean, you and I, all three of us, have been in touch with the law for most of our careers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm the oldest one of you, and you're the youngest one of us. I mean, we've had a trident here trying to educate people. And it's growing, and you guys have done a great, wonderful job at promoting and running this radio show.
Thank you.
When I was on the outskirts of doing this to help you guys out, because first of all, you're my friends and brothers, and second of all, without the three of us, who the hell's going to do it? Except for Glenn Beck. And he's promoting peace and love, which, I tell you right now, that's not going to get you anywhere but killed. Hey, you're going to be nothing but a victim. Love Glenn to death. Glenn's a good, honorable man. And to tell you what, I love him to death, but he's going to end up being a victim. I'm telling you right now, martyrs are idiots. Martyrs are nothing but targets. Martyrs never see what they want to happen. They never see it. And it's not worth giving up your life to never see what it is. Now, if you lose your life fighting for it, fine. You lose your life standing there being a target. That's an idiot.
Mm-hmm. I've even heard Glenn Beck mention Alexander Dugan on one of his programs. It's just an amazing thing that there are so few that are covering that the so-called conservative punditry and commensurate have been so derelict in their duty. And it goes to show that they aren't movement people. They aren't in support of the Constitution, that it was all just a money-making scheme for them, much as it was with Alex Jones, much as it is with Sean Hannity, and much as it is with Rush Limbaugh. But we have to stand up, just as you said, because nobody else will do it. We, in our capacity as popular sovereigns, were expected by our founding fathers to be the ones to hand this country and our Constitution and our fundamental rights down to posterity, to the up-and-coming generations, and indeed even those generations which have yet to be born. That is no easy task. But you know what? If we don't do it, if we don't go out and risk something, we will never gain the benefits that come from freedom. We will never gain the benefits of what our system's for if we don't fight to preserve it. We have to. We have no choice. None.
Right. Well, let me tell you something. I don't know if I've mentioned this on the show. I saw an interview with Alan Colmes. Alan Colmes is about as big a left-winger as anybody. But he knows Sean Hannity after working with him for, 12 years?
Yeah.
Knows him as well as anybody. He said he's ashamed of him. In all of his career, and as long as he's known Sean Hannity, even though he doesn't agree with him, he's never seen him sell out for anything. He said he's a total sellout. He doesn't know the man anymore.
Yeah.
You know, coming from a left winger who says that a conservative has sold out to the left wing. That's an amazing statement on its own.
Well, I'll give you another example, Nelson. The Muslim American that spoke at the DNC, who told Trump he'll lend him a copy of his Constitution. He asked Trump, "Have you ever read the Constitution?" And here it is, an individual speaking at the Democratic National Convention calls Trump to the carpet on the Constitution. And holds up a copy of it and says, "You can borrow mine." His son was killed in Afghanistan in 2004.
No, Iraq.
Or Iraq. He was killed in Iraq in 2004. And he says that, you know what? You haven't sacrificed anything.
Let me ask you something, guys. Now, we know that the Justice Department can't file charges on a federal crime, on a federal felony. Only a federal grand jury. They have to impanel a federal grand jury. And that's the only way you can get indictment under federal law, under the Constitution. Now, you both are aware that I wrote a letter and wrote an email to my state representative. And I told him on this Hillary Clinton thing, there is way more than enough evidence to have her indicted. Whether she be convicted or not, that's not the point. You can't get a conviction without an indictment. I would be more happy than anything to fill out an AO91 federal felony complaint, which he could do at any time. It happened in his district. I can't file one against Hillary Clinton. You know why? Because the crime didn't happen in the district I live in. Under federal law, the crime actually has to be, you have to have knowledge of a crime has to be committed where you live, in your jurisdiction. Now, also, I told him I'd be more than happy to write a petition to the D.C. District Court, federal court, to impanel a federal grand jury and to appoint a federal prosecutor against Hillary Clinton. You know what response I got from him?
Not
I've seen more response from Helen Keller, guys.
Yeah, and it's because they are afraid to buck the system. They are afraid to use those things that are at their avenue to do anything about it. And that's the problem. That's what it shows, that we have declined to such a degree that we are no longer a nation of laws. We are now a nation of men. And it's the complete antithesis of what our founding fathers had originally designed this constitutionally endowed representative republic of ours to ever be. And it's shameful to see that we have fallen to such a low place. It is a disgrace to see that the United States of America is in such an untenable and unsustainable situation. And unless and until we really begin to address this, unless and until we say no, enough is enough, we're going to see this death spiral not only continue unabated, but it is going to accelerate at an exponential rate. And we can ill afford to allow that, particularly when you consider that we are in this constitutional crisis that we are, and that we have been for far damn too long.
Well, it's terminal velocity. We've reached terminal velocity. How do you slow that down? How do you slow that down? Are there ever? I mean, the hubris put out by these idiots. There have been 3 people that have stood up. 3 people that have stood up to this Congress, and they've been stopped at every turn. How many times have you seen people? Oh, crazy! Trey Gowdy this, Trey Gowdy that. Yeah, he stopped Louis Gohmert from petitioning the courts. have what should be done. You see McConnell, the douchebag supreme, to stop Ted Cruz and Mike Lee from petitioning the court. That's not legal, guys. That's obstruction. That's obstruction of justice.
And it's misprision of a felony.
Yeah, it's absolute misprision. Oh, yeah, that's right. Judge Dingleberry Napolitano, Mr. Oh, yeah, I'd let election fraud happen in New Jersey because I was too lazy to do anything about it because, I was connected with the people that were actually committed it. Election machines were moved out of warehouses and sold out, but he didn't even hear the case. He refused to hear the case. That day, remember when I went on his radio show and said, why can't they file charges on misprision? Well, misprision is no longer recognized by the courts. Really? And then I showed him over 125 cases that were convictions in the last 5 years.
Not to mention Title 4 U.S. Code Section 4.
Yeah.
Oops.
Misprision of a felony. That misprision treason. We know for a fact. Anybody seen the movie? What is it? 13 Hours.
Mm-hmm.
Knows that's taken from the account of the people that were there. They were dealing arms to a declared enemy of the United States. You deal arms to a a declared enemy of the United States under the very definition of treason. That is treason, guys.
It's giving aid.
You know what? Stevens. Oh, yeah, Stevens. The one that got the ambassador, Stevens. He got what he deserved. I have no compunction to call him that. He's a traitor. He had exactly what he deserved. He's dead. Good. I'm glad he's dead. He got burned and raped. Good. This is exactly what he deserved because he was meant for treason against the United States. Oh, he was ordered to. Yeah, I remember my professor who was at Nuremberg and at Dachau, where they proved that you don't take orders that are illegal, that violate the laws of the land and violate the laws of mankind. You don't do that. You say no, even if it costs you your life.
Yep. Well, Nelson, when Benghazi first went down, I can remember you and I having a conversation about it, and remember what we said. It was a gun running operation, an extension of Fast and Furious.
Oh, it's not an extension of Fast and Furious. It's just mirrors Fast and Furious. The mirror end.
Well, it's the same thing. It's all conducted under the same auspice. And lo and behold, now the truth has come out, 2-3 years later? That's pretty much what it is.
But nobody's doing anything about it.
Nobody's doing anything about it. Where's Daryl Issa? Oh, that's right. Daryl Issa tucked tail and ran just like he did on Fast and Furious. Same with Trey Gowdy. And, people say, oh, Trey Gowdy make a great attorney general.
No, he wouldn't.
Bull crap.
Mike Dingo would make better attorney general than Trey Gowdy.
I would make a better attorney general than Trey Gowdy.
My grandfather would make a better attorney general than Trey Gowdy.
Yeah. That yard got full of rocks out front would make better attorney general. When the fact is, this guy's not, if he's not aware, remember, Bill O'Reilly said, well, what can you do about it? So, nothing. You sit there in front of the American people, a former United States prosecutor who worked for the Justice Department and adjudicate cases for the Justice Department. Okay? And he verified cases. He's the one who, in the Justice Department, said, you're going to go ahead with this case. You can't go ahead with this case. There's not enough evidence. Or blah, 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 or you violated your rights. You can't go ahead with the case. That's what his job was with the Justice Department. Yeah, this guy's unaware of misprision. This guy's unaware that the petition the federal courts in D.C. To impanel a federal grand jury. Let's go back to the fact of this guy. They think they're going to do something unusual. This is not unusual, guys. How many are aware that Richard Nixon left office because a Republican petitioned the federal courts in D.C. to get impanel a federal grand jury?
Mm-hmm.
That's the only reason that Nixon.
That's the reason why he stepped down. He stepped down and because he was being indicted.
Seven Nixon's cohorts, including the Attorney General, were convicted because of that petition to the court. You know, they said that, I can't think of his name right now. He was from Connecticut. He was a Republican from Connecticut. Now, when are you going to ever see that again?
I remember we talked about him, and I forget his name.
I can't remember his name either. But he petitioned the federal court in January of 1973. And within weeks, it had paneled the federal judge and paneled the federal grand jury. And Archibald Cox was supposed to take the case to that federal grand jury. And he was going to. And then Nixon fired him. And then, who appointed Leon Jaworski? Wasn't the Justice Department. Mm-hmm. It wasn't the Attorney General. It was the court.
Yep.
Here's the thing. They don't want, the Republican Party does not want Hillary Clinton in jail. She can't serve. She's a felon. And she damn well couldn't serve if she was a convicted felon. And she could never win an election in this country. I know as many crazy idiots are that would vote for her. If she's indicted under federal law.
U.S. Senator Lowell P. Weicker.
Weicker, yeah.
Weicker is the one who got the grand jury indictment.
Weicker was deep throat.
Yeah.
If anybody doesn't know who Deep Throat, remember all that stuff, you know, with the movie with Roger Redford and Dustin Hoffman and all that stuff with Deep Throat. Now, Weicker was Deep Throat.
Yeah.
Exactly who Deep Throat is. How many people don't know that? Nobody knows that. But that's the thing. They think of Watergate. Blah, 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 blah. Well, you know, part of the reason, it was a political hit job on Nixon by the Democrats. Because he had a lot of charges coming up on the Democrats. Because they were basically committing obstruction to the Justice Department. They didn't oppose the Justice Department what they were doing or weren't doing. They were actually opposing the Justice Department because they were actually enforcing the law. And Nixon was ready to take them out. But then they got him first.
Right, and that's part of the rank corruption that has been just part of the system for all these years. It's been there for decades.
Well, it's a freaking malignant tumor is what it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this cancer's not going away. I mean, it's like picking between Gary Johnson and Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. It's just picking which cancer you want to die from. You know, you're still dead, and you're still going to die because it's going to kill you the same way. I mean, cancer is cancer. It doesn't matter where you get it at. You're going to die pretty much the same way, and it's not going to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's like choosing between whether you want to be shot in the right temple, the left temple, or through the back of the head. You're still going to die.
Yeah. You're still going to kick around like somebody's having a epileptic seizure. That's the way it happens when you get shot in the head.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's brutal. But you know what? Life is brutal. This is going to get more brutal. It's going to keep getting more brutal. And the American people, when Donald Trump loses, is going to bring it on everybody that didn't vote for him. You know what?
Bring it on.
Yourself. You broke it. You own it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the only response to them, yeah, but Trump, yeah, go to hell. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because we preached till we were blue in the face, and again, this is why we say 6-2 or fight. We're past the tipping point to where we have to protect what's ours.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like everything else, you know. And I always ask this of the Trumpledites all the time: if someone's coming into your home to rape your wife or your daughters, or steal your belongings, or to kill you and your family, what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to stop them. How?
Magic, of course.
Well, yeah, magic. They're going to sprinkle a little bit of that dandruff dust on them and think happy thoughts. Yeah, they're going to think happy thoughts, and they're going to fly away to never Trump land. where they belong.
It's like picking which daughter you want raped.
Yeah.
Really, it is. Picking which, oh, you have 3 daughters, which one do you want raped?
Yeah.
They're going to rape one of them, pick which one you want. It's like they're still going to rape one of your daughters. So you say no. Yeah, you're standing there with a pistol in your hand, and you're going to rape one of your daughters, you're going to pick. You're going to shoot me? I'd shoot him in the face. I'm not raping anybody here. Say goodbye. You know? Yeah. So go to life, pig.
And that's what the vast majority of American people need to come to grips with reality on. They are foregoing and forfeiting all their rights for a sense of safety. Well, if he only rapes one of my daughters, I still have 2 other daughters that haven't been raped until they come back again.
Well, it still means one. You didn't do anything to stop the one that got raped.
Right.
So it's your fault.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is what's going on. You know, it's funny because I got blocked from a thread on Facebook, and this guy, he put up this new declaration of swearing allegiance to the country and the Constitution and blah blah blah. And I says, yeah, how does that work with, you know, being a Trump supporter? You can't do it. That's like saying, you know what, I'm anti-rape, but I enjoy being, you know, forced to have coitus with somebody that I don't like, or with strange people against my will. I'm against rape, but that's okay. I'm all for being raped. It's the same thing.
Abortion. I abortion, but I'm going to hold the door open for you to abortion somebody.
Yeah, right.
It's like driving into the freaking abortion clinic. That's what it is, guys. It's gotten to the point that you claim you're against abortion, you got to drive somebody to the clinic to have an abortion. That's exactly what it's got to be.
Yeah. And it's a shame that we have found ourselves in such a position where there is this kind of moral blight, this kind of political blight, and it's what we've said so many times on previous episodes of Radio Aviation Excellence, the Wright Flyer. It's that these twin cancerous doctrines of political correctness and moral relativism have eked their way into the very fibers of the societal fabric of this once thriving and flourishing representative republic, and we have not done enough to stop it. We are the complacent ones. We have failed. We as the people, as you have mentioned. And yes, it's very hard to hear that. It's very hard to hear that because
it's hard to say.
It's hard to say, but it's true. It's there. It's eking around every corner. It is in every auspice of this nation. And how are we going to overcome it? Well, there's only one way. To proactively act and engage it and say, no, this whole erroneous doctrine of voting for the lesser of two evils, or as I like to call it, voting for the lesser of two weasels, doesn't work. It only gets us here. When the two political parties are basically the flip side of the same titular coin, we are in a very bad, dangerous position. And that's exactly where the United States of America is right now.
Randy, they're even doing it, and I heard Glenn Beck do it, saying that I'm going to vote for the libertarian. When the libertarian doesn't support anything he supports, well, it's a protest vote. Yeah, why don't you cast a vote for somebody who actually, in a protest vote, actually represents what you believe in then? Because he was complaining that Gary Johnson this, which is absolutely right on mark, yet he wants to cast a protest vote because he thinks he's a libertarian. Let me tell you right now, let me tell you, all the audience, there are no libertarians anymore. It's like there are no Republicans and no Democrats. This guy's an absolute fake, and it's not the lesser of two evils, it's the lesser of three. Because you vote for any of those three, you're not voting for the Constitution. You can't be. And then you're a fraud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And again, it's foregoing and negating your responsibilities in doing such. Huh? It's completely tantamount and polar opposite of what this country and republic was founded on, the principles. And if the founding fathers were here today, they would have been at war 10 times over already.
Sure, and this is why we've called for the creation of the constitutional compositionist movement, a movement that is not tied to any political party, a movement that will be a safety valve, a shield, for lack of a better term, that will be there to basically lobby for the special interests which are our constitutional rights. Because I can think of no interest more significant, more substantial, more important than our fundamental and inalienable God-given rights as codified in the the first 10 amendments to the United States Constitution, what is known in the common vernacular as the Bill of Rights. That was a piece of the natural law. That is timeless by its very nature. We need to advocate for it. We need to proactively defend it, and we need to maintain it.
We may have to use the force to keep it. People have to understand. This might be the plan. This, people are, well, God wants this and God wants. Did you ever think for a second that God may want us to revolt? Have you ever pulled your head out of your butt long enough and looked around and say, God may mean for us to revolt? He meant for the founding fathers to revolt, did he not?
Yes.
To have a divinely inspired, to get to the point to have that divinely inspired document of the Constitution, they had to get to a point that they had to wage war against their government. I'm locally advocating it because I have the right to do so. This government is illegitimate under the Constitution. It cannot exist under the Constitution.
It's demanded of us. It's demanded of us in the document that was the predecessor to the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence.
Right.
People want freedom. People want freedom. They don't know what freedom is because they're blind to it. They're blind to it. They've given it up.
Remember, you even get to the point that idiots think, well, that's my rights. They don't even know what their rights are. Your rights are declared in the Constitution. The Constitution does not give anyone rights. It confirms those rights. It protects those rights. Only the rights that it confirms that are enumerated, which says in the Ninth Amendment, that are enumerated in the Constitution, they cannot deny or disparage those rights. Anything else is not a right.
And they cannot use the rights to deny or disparage either.
These natural rights, you have natural rights, but they're not recognized by the Constitution. That's why the idiots are saying, well, I have the right to drive. No, you don't have the right to drive.
No, that's a privilege.
Yeah. And there's really no right to travel except for
interstate.
Immunities and privileges. Immunity. You have the privilege to travel.
And you cannot be, and you're immune for prosecution for doing such.
Right. That's what they need to understand. There are two privileges and immunities clauses in the Constitution, and I bet you 10% of the lawyers out there even know that. Mm-hmm. They keep spouting out the 14th Amendment. You have 14th Amendment, totally ratified. You have idiots out there spouting up, the income tax is illegal. It was never ratified. Really, it was ratified by 42 freaking states. You only needed 36. 6 more than you needed. Do some math. That's about second grade math, guys. Mm-hmm. Second grade. Now, my wife's a school teacher. I go up and teach her 6th graders the Constitution every single year, and I do it on September 17th. And because that's anybody aware that's a national holiday?
Yeah.
By law, every school in this country, every public and private school, is by law. Now, does Congress have the authority to declare that a private school has to teach the Constitution? You damn right they do. Because that is the law of the land. You should be teaching your children the law of the land, the supreme law of the land. Well, there's a case that decide to do so.
Nelson, Randy, you guys remember when I was before I graduated for my bachelor degree, you remember the project that I started working on.
Right.
Getting the Constitution actually incorporated more into not only the curriculum of the criminal justice program, but that's just the start of it. My whole idea was to get it instituted there and then have it to where, because colleges and universities are now leaking their way down into the high schools and middle schools, to where that would also follow through. And it would be done at the state level. And I'm still working on that. In fact, I'm actually going to be meeting with the individual, talking to them soon about this. In fact, my boss is an instructor there, and I I'm going to be talking to him about it as well. I even teach the Constitution at work. And like I said before, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to stop doing it, because just like in the Declaration of Independence, it says, when it becomes so obvious that our system of government has become corrupt, it is our obligation and duty to abolish that government and reinstitute a new one. What that means is, those of us that have the understanding and the wherewithal and the know-how, we must act. We cannot stand by and not do anything. If we don't, then that makes us an accessory to tyranny.
We want to hear something funny about that, the very same subject here. State of Arizona 2 years ago passed a law that every high school student must pass the Constitution test to graduate from high school. Yet they never set up a curriculum. There's no curriculum to teach these children the Constitution. So they passed the law that they can't enforce because they didn't set up a curriculum to enforce it. It's ridiculous. Yet, when I broached the state legislature going, you made a mistake here because where's the curriculum? Well, that's up to the individual schools to do. Then they're not going to do it. Because there's no mandate for them to do it. They don't have to. You made the mandate on the children. You didn't make the mandate on the schools.
And see, Nelson, this is why you're such a blessing for people to have in their lives, because you and I talked about your curriculum that you set up for your wife's classes, and that school adopted it. You read it to me, and I just, there's nothing you should change on it. Nothing you can change on it, because it's exactly what it needs to be, and it fits for that grade level. Can it be adapted or modified for older students or younger students? Absolutely, and it should. It needs to be able to fit to where the comprehension level is there. And that's the problem that I've come across with talking to individuals about the Constitution. Many individuals don't even have a 5th grade level of education.
Well,
yeah, they may have graduated high school, or they may have graduated high school and they may have gone to college, but their comprehension skills are crap. They don't get it. You have to simplify it for them. And
the funny thing is, too, Jeremy, is you know Jan, my better half. He's got a master's degree in reading comprehension, teaching reading.
Yeah, English.
You know? Yeah. Well, it's reading, not English. It's reading. It's comprehension. How to comprehend reading. We're reading in any language. You still have to comprehend what you read. I mean, she went through my curriculum and everything, and it's like, you write it at the 5th grade level, which is perfect for a 6th grader. Well, the Constitution is written at a 5th grade syntax level. The majority of it is written, it's not really in legalese, it's written in archaic 5th grade. And it's somewhat archaic. It's archaic English. But the fact is, the syntax is still the same.
The grammar is
the commas still mean what commas mean. You can't have, it's the same rules. You can't have a subject that is owned by another subject. That's not the subject of the sentence then. If you have a subject that's owned by another sentence, a subject in the sentence, another noun, then it's not the subject. It's like part of the Second Amendment. You know, rights are owned by the people. Rights aren't owned by the state. Rights are not owned by the militia. That's how that works. The subject of the sentence are the people. And because of the people having the right to keep and bear arms and it shall not be friends, the states can have a militia which protects them.
That's what's an explanatory clause. That's what it is. It's an explanatory clause to prevent them from saying, well, then it's about deer hunting. So you see, that's what the leftists do, and not just the leftists, that's what a lot of people do, is they purposely misread what it says to try and say that it's antiquated, when in fact it's a natural law. It's timeless.
The right there is there whether the states have a militia or not. Whether the states have the authority to have a militia or not. The right of the people to keep and bear arms, period. You don't even need the first part. The first part of the first stanza of the Second Amendment is pretty simple. It just means that because, if they did put because, but that's not the way they wrote back then. Because English syntax has gotten so simplistic that nobody can read anymore. I mean, our founders knew exactly what they were writing. They knew exactly that it wasn't because of a militia. It's because you have a right to keep and bear arms, and then the states have the authority to have a militia to protect those rights. That's the only reason for a militia to even exist. It's not the Senate states. Article 4, Section 4 says that the states can only wage warfare if they're invaded, and the federal government refuses to do so. You know? And then they use the militia. We have what's ridiculous is we have a militia here, we have a state guard. Now there's 32 states that have a state guard of some sort. Most of them are not active. Texas has the largest state guard in the country. Randy, state guard is now on the border. Has been on the border for what, 3 years now?
3.5 to 4 years now. Yes.
They're doing the job the federal government refuses to do. They have that authority because the federal government refuses to do so.
Well, this is another instance going all the way back to one of the catalysts of the Civil War, the Jayhawkers invading Missouri, and the federal government not doing anything.
Yeah, and Governor Sterling Price, wrote both Pierce and Buchanan begging them to intercede. Did they do so? No, they refused. Because they wanted to stir it up. They wanted a civil war. They wanted something to happen so they could seize more power. They didn't think a Republican who was how many people are aware that Lincoln was a Republican for one term, and then he was a Unionist the second term. The Unionist Party actually pre-existed the Republican Party. It was 4 years older than the Republican Party. Of course, he wasn't a Republican. And then you hear the idiocy of a third party can't win an election. Lincoln won 2 of them as a third party.
Yep.
But what gets me, guys, I got a question for you. I live in Arizona. The Constitution Party, which is the closest one to what I believe, I would vote for their nominee. But the fact is, I can't vote for him. You know why? Because they won't let me. That violates, I have the right to vote. I have the right that vote not to be abridged. Now, it's up to Congress to declare who is eligible and who's not eligible to run. It's not the courts, it's Congress. Congress has the final say.
You know what, Nelson? I would even make an argument under the First Amendment for that, because you would be voting third party as a form of petitioning your government for redress of grievances.
Yeah. But my point is that it cannot be abridged. That my vote cannot be abridged for any reason, whether I'm a female or a male. Can't my age? If I'm over 18, it can't be abridged. If because of my color, because of my religion, can't be abridged for any. And the Supreme Court has ruled over and over again it can't be abridged under any circumstances. Yet they get the same thing on gay marriage.
Yep,
gay marriage is not right.
Prop 8
knows anything about the
3 times.
Yeah, it was 2 times in California, once in Missouri. Remember, I moved from Missouri.
Yeah,
to California. Could stand that hellhole. Went to the most conservative state I could find. Yet they're not conservative here. How many times have you heard complained about their imposts? How many times have I chased down representatives and they have to look up the word impost? These asinine ignoramuses don't even know that the fact is they're violating the Constitution in conducting imposts on imported goods. You can't do that in a state. Your gas taxes are imported. There's not one drop of gasoline or petroleum products that are produced in the state of Arizona. Every single drop is trucked in here. We don't have any seaports It's Arizona, the driest state in the country. But the fact is, you got cigarette taxes, very illegal. So not one leaf of tobacco is grown here. Cigarette taxes are illegal. Fuel taxes are illegal. Taxes on firearms are already illegal not only by the Constitution but by federal law.
Hey, Nelson, I'm willing to bet if you were to ask them what provision in the Constitution that violates, they wouldn't know.
They don't.
They don't know. It's Article 1, Section 9, Clause 5.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
No tax or duty shall be laid on articles exported from any state.
Yeah.
It's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah. I contacted David Allen Livingston, who's the state majority whip. And of course, he blocked me on Facebook when I mentioned that the state of Arizona is in violation of the Constitution on the illegal impost on taxes on gasoline. Well, how are we going to raise taxes? That's your problem. That's not my problem. The fact is, you're violating the Constitution.
Figure out a way to do it without violating the Constitution. That's how you do it. That's the answer. Figure out how to do it. Because, see, for them to skirt around that, not only are they violating the Constitution, but they're violating their oath of office. And they're violating the whole purpose of serving, which is to what? Represent the people.
But of course, that's what we see at every level of government now. Yeah. We see that at every level of government, there's this lack of willingness to abide by the Constitution. It's really not that difficult. It's not rocket surgery. You don't need Dr. Ben, I'm a victim Carson to figure this out.
No. You don't need a fifth grader to figure this out. How come I can take a gaggle of sixth graders at a school that, some of them do very well. You got two. You will have the ones that do very well and the ones that can't read third grade English. Yeah, I can teach a Hispanic child who barely speaks English. In one day, I can teach him every aspect of the Constitution, how to read it, and what it means. How is it that I can take a sixth grader with a third grade freaking reading level and teach them all about the Constitution? And they'll remember it the entire year. At the end of the year, Cam's going, these kids are talking about inalienable rights. These kids are talking about,
privileges and immunities.
Yeah. Privileges and immunities. When we talk about privileges and immunities, and sheep fell over, this kid got his third grade reading level. How come adults, how come people that are representing us, how come lawyers and judges do not seem to understand that?
Because
they don't want to.
No.
They don't want to.
Now, I want to make a correction here, Nelson, and it's not often that I get to correct you on something. When you said that you've given up and you've done and you've wasted all your time, what you just said proves otherwise. You've not wasted your time because of those children. If you can convince those children, you can teach them that and it sticks with them, then your time has not been wasted.
Yeah, but right now, how many of those kids can vote? I'm telling everyone listening to this, your vote's not just your vote. Your vote's my vote. Your votes represent everyone in this country. We do not live in a vacuum. Every time you vote, it impacts everybody that lives in this country. Your vote says of what they can do to me. So you better be very careful how you vote, because I have a say in it. And I guarantee you, I will have a say in it. You vote against my rights, and me and you are going to have a problem.
But my point goes to towards the posterity of this country. And again, I don't think you've wasted your time with dealing with the children in the way that you have. And it's beyond admirable and noble in what you've done. I'm in awe over it because I don't have the patience to do something like that with children. I certainly don't. But I don't want you to think that what you've done has been wasted, because it hasn't. As far as people that can vote, yeah, you didn't waste your time; they wasted your time, is what it boils down
the thing about it is, Jeremy, I found it's easier to teach sixth graders the Constitution than it is people with a law degree who should know it already.
Yeah.
Or somebody who is a, let's see, they get a degree in, I taught at two colleges. Both of those have gotten rid of their constitutional studies degree and folded in their law degree because the Bar Association says what they can and cannot teach. And God help you, Randy, having to put up with the Bar Association, because tell you what, they're more corrupt than the Democrat or Republican Party ever thought about being.
Combined.
Sure. Combined. I see how you must be a saint, buddy, is to put up with that kind of stuff and having to deal with that Bar Association when I practiced before in pro se, and very few of them are more interested in shutting you down, even when you're right, than they are the law or justice. They don't care justice.
No.
There's very little justice in the law anymore.
Well, like I said earlier,
what I've been fighting. It's what I have to do, and that's why I went into law. It wasn't to get rich. It wasn't to get my name known. It was to get us back to the Constitution. And it's an uphill fight, and it can be very demoralizing, but at the same time, I'm engaged with groups right now, working out all sorts of things right now that are going a lot better than I thought they would. Remember that Virginia case where they got people unbound?
Mm-hmm.
I was involved with that.
But, the thing about it is the Republican Party didn't care what the court said either.
I know.
And
but
you know what? Here's what gets me too. Here's what gets me too. It's very same people are complaining. Now, mostly the Ron Paul tards supported Trump. Yeah. It's the very same people that were screaming up and down to the top of their lungs, screaming about the rules being changed when Ron Paul was at the convention. Had no problem about the rules being changed when Trump was at the convention. How is that? How is that? What a bunch of geeks. What a bunch of low-life scumbags.
Well, yeah, it's selective outrage is what it comes down to.
And these are the same people who supported Ron Paul, who claims he supports the Constitution. At least he claims. He's got a little more integrity at trying to do something with the Constitution. At least he's giving it lip service.
Yeah.
But the point that Trump doesn't even give the Constitution lip service. The lip service he gives the Constitution is, I don't need it. I'm above it. We don't need it. I'm above it, and I'm going to ignore it.
And trying to amend it on his own without the consent of Congress by instituting Article 12.
Well, that's just total ignoramus,
Yeah.
I'm an idiot. I don't know anything about the Constitution. I don't know anything about business. Really, he doesn't know anything about business. Very, very little. He's hired some people to run the business for him. He really doesn't know anything about it. Wharton School of Law or Business. It's the smallest denominator at the University of Pennsylvania. Okay? It's the smallest school and the least recognized school at the least recognized school in the Ivy League. He couldn't get in it. You know what? Trump couldn't get into Harvard, Yale, or even Brown.
Well, and the other thing that he does, Nelson, is he tries to make it seem like he's got a master's degree from there, but he doesn't. He doesn't. It's a baccalaureate. His daddy got him a special deal to where he has a bachelor's degree from there.
It didn't. The thing about it is, I've seen people with a high school diploma that run businesses and run it like it's a top. I'm telling you what.
Oh, yeah.
I've got a master's degree. Doesn't mean doing squat. I can't make a dime doing it. I can't even teach doing it anymore. There's no place to teach. They've gotten rid of the whole curriculum. There's none. You can't teach it at any school now. You can take the Constitution without being an attorney of good standing with the Bar Association. Yeah. Even though I have a higher degree dig this, and let's not beat my own back on it. This is the idiocy of this whole thing. I have a higher degree in the Constitution itself than everybody on the Supreme Court, everybody in the federal jury, the federal courts, everyone in the federal district courts or the Court of Appeals, anyone in Congress, or anyone in the Justice Department. I have a higher degree than any of them. I have a higher degree in the Constitution than Ted Cruz. So that doesn't mean anything. Really doesn't. Because you can take that degree, you can set it on fire, and it doesn't mean anything.
The way that they have tried to pollute the system, yes. But you still have helped those kids, as Jeremy pointed out. And we're not going to give up. We're not.
Well, I'm not going to give up. I'm just done with the idiot. I'm done with you.
Sure. We are too.
I'm not wasting my time on idiots anymore. You can't convince, it's just like Kierkegaard. People are stupid. They'll believe a lie if they want it to be true or they're afraid it's going to be true.
Mm-hmm.
So they're that much easier to fool. The thing is, we're on Trump, and we're on Trump. We're not on Hillary Clinton. I'm not on her enough. The thing about it is she's won Ralphus Brown to be completely insignificant.
Ink mist.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing about it. Am I advocating her assassination? I'm not saying I am. If it happens, I surely won't shed a tear.
Right.
I mean, look at the state of California. Those people should be, with all the laws that they've passed against the Constitution this year alone, they should be hanging people in Sacramento. They should be, I'll advocate assassination. They should be shooting Brown in the face and everybody in the state legislature. And every judge in California, they should be dragging them out of their house and shooting with a telephone pole they're going to hang on. And here's the thing is, people are mistaken to say that everybody is due to constitutional protection. If you read the Constitution clear enough, you will see that if you violate the Constitution of people and the rights of people, you forfeit your rights to the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
You're forfeited. You're convicted. You don't even need a conviction. You don't get a trial. You get a hang. And people like Lintek, you get into a French Revolution. Look, the French Revolution was conducted. The French Revolution were conducted by the same people that we're fighting for or fighting against now. Libertines. Who saying whatever feels good is okay. Whatever I feel like doing is my right, and no matter who it hurts, it doesn't matter. These are people that were smearing feces on the Catholic Church. The cathedral at Notre Dame, they invaded that and smeared feces and were fornicating in the chapel on the altar. They had no respect for anybody. And that's exactly what we're seeing with the Trump cards. And that's exactly what we're seeing with the Bernie cards. And that's exactly what we're seeing with the Hillary cards and the Gary Johnson cards. They don't have any respect. All they care about is what they get. What you get into my arm, that's what you get. You have to understand, you're only good enough to keep what you got if you're willing to defend it and you can pull it off. And that's how life is. It's not who's going to save you. It's what you can do to save yourself.
And that's the way it has to be, because that is what is called for, to be responsible citizens. And it goes back to the natural law foundations of this great representative republic of ours. And again, that's why we here at Radio Aviation Excellence, the Wright Flyers, say that it is so important to foster that fluent and working knowledge and understanding of our shared Constitution, and thereby your fundamental and inalienable God-given rights. Because as we've said all throughout this program, and indeed on previous episodes, no one else is going to do that for you. No one else is endowed with the authority to do that. Now, with that said, it is time for us to begin our descent. I'm going to go ahead and send the flight attendant back for one last round of alcohol She may not smear feces on the seats. We kind of frown upon that here. As always, folks, I'm your captain, Randy Wright, and I've been joined on our state-of-the-art radio program by my first officer, Jeremy Grapington, our very special guest, our First Air Marshal, Mr. Nelson Ward. I invite you to leave any questions, comments, concerns that you may have either here on our YouTube page, our Google Plus page, or our Facebook page. On top of that, I invite you to follow us on Twitter with the Twitter handle at Radio Aviation EX. One more time, folks, that's at Radio Aviation EX. There you will find the departure board that lists my personal Twitter account, the personal Twitter account of my first officer, Jeremy Grapington, our Blogspot page that includes audio blogs, and the Cafe Press account that has all sorts of trinkets and goodies with our original classic logo on it, our first-class passenger logo on it. There's a lot of stuff there that's just, you know, at a fair price and could fit your style. Just take a look and give us some support and support yourselves, because we really do this for you. Folks, once again, thank you for flying the Wright Flyer. We will see you next time. Do take care.